Some mornings stick with you forever. Not because anything grand happened, but because they're so ordinary, so peaceful. You never imagined they could end. That morning was one of those. Before the blood, before the sirens, before the words, HOA. Police meant anything at all, it was just me, my wife Maya, and a little wooden boat in our garage. I was sanding the edge of that boat, our 5th anniversary project, just the two of us in our little corner of Maplewood Drive, chasing a piece of calm I'd spent my whole life searching for. You ever get that feeling something bad's about to happen, but you can't quite name it? The air that morning was all sawdust and lake water, sunlight slanting through the blinds in gold stripes, dust floating like tiny ghosts. Maya was inside, humming with the radio, brewing coffee so strong you'd think it could raise the dead. Outside, the wind brushed the pines and everything was just normal, peaceful in a way that makes you realize how rare peace really is. Maybe that's why I remember every second before it all went sideways. I'd painted our fence last week white just like the HOA always wanted. I'd even carved our names into the mailbox, something small but permanent. Spent 12 years in the Navy, always moving, never putting roots down. But I built this life for the opposite reason, for the laughter of Maya when our dog chased its tail, for the way she'd say, "Once you finish that boat, it's just us in the lake. No phones, no noise, just us." I promised her I'd finish it before summer. Let me back up a sec. My whole body still reacts to sharp noises. Years of training war zones, you flinch before you even think. I laughed at myself, tried to shake it off. "You're home now, Ethan," I muttered. But home doesn't always mean safe, does it? Sometimes it just means the storm hasn't found you yet. I was wiping sweat off my palms when I heard the tires on gravel, slow, heavy, purposeful. A white SUV, tinted windows, no logo, stopped at the end of our drive. 3 men inside. At first I figured delivery guys or contractors. Maplewood's always got somebody fixing something, but they just sat there, engine rumbling, staring. That's the moment I felt it, a silence in my bones, the kind that means trouble's about to knock. And it did. The doors opened 3 sharp clicks. 3 men stepped out, all in matching black vests. HOA Police Compliance Division stitched across the chest. Now that badge looked official if you didn't look too close. The tallest one started toward the porch earpiece and moving like a man used to being obeyed. Maya reached the door before me, always polite, always brave. "Good morning," she said. "Can I help you?" The tall one's voice was smooth, almost rehearsed. "Property inspection, ma'am. We had a report of a code violation." Maya frowned. "A what?" "The fence," he said. "Color number 72B. It's not on the approved list." He read it off like he'd memorized it. My heart skipped. That color code wasn't public. It was on the receipt Maya kept on her phone. Somebody had been watching. I walked outside, hands still covered in sawdust. "Morning, fellas. Can I help you?" All 3 turned. The tall one's smile disappeared. "Sir, this doesn't concern you. Step back inside." I gave him a look. It's my house. I didn't know the HOA had an enforcement division. The short one, bald mirrored glasses shifted his stance like a man ready for trouble. I could see something under his vest. Not a clipboard. "Look," Maya said, her voice quiet. "If there's a problem, just leave us a notice." But the tall man just leaned in, resting a hand on the doorframe. "Ma'am, if you don't let us in, we'll have to issue a citation and schedule a compliance visit." Maya hesitated just half a second, but that's all it took. The man with sunglasses brushed past her shoulder, stepping inside without permission. Maya gasped, more shocked than scared. That's when I moved. "Hey," I barked. "You don't enter my house without permission." The tall one raised a gloved hand like he was calming a wild animal. "Sir, we don't want to escalate." "Then don't," I said, voice low. We stared each other down, no one moving engine ticking in the background. Finally, the tall one's patience snapped. "You people never learn." He nodded. The short man pushed fully inside another one, grabbed Maya's wrist. She yelped, her phone hitting the floor, sliding across the tile. Instinct took over, no time for thinking. I pulled Maya behind me, heart thumping out of my chest. "Get out," I growled. The tall one's voice dropped the pretense. "Sir, please stand down." But there was no standing down. The smallest one, maybe trying to show off, grinned. "Or what? You gonna fine us?" The tension was thick as a storm about to break. Suddenly, the short one shoved Maya against the wall. Her head hit the edge of a picture frame, a small sound, but it felt like thunder in my chest. I roared, tried to get to her, but the tall one blocked my path. Forearm jammed into my shoulder. Maya was crying now, blood glinting at her hairline. The man holding her snapped a zip tie around her wrists. "Don't resist, ma'am. Standard procedure. That phrase like cruelty is just paperwork." I looked at the tall one's vest. The patch was peeling. The font was wrong, stitching uneven. These weren't officials. They weren't cops. They were actors in costume playing gods in my living room. Maya's voice cracked. "Ethan." The tall one pressed a hand over her mouth and whispered something that made her eyes go wide. That's when I snapped. Training took over. I caught his wrist, twisted, pulled him down hard. The short one reached for a stun gun. I kicked it away, pivoted, elbowed his jaw. The third guy ran in, yelling into a radio. I shoved him outside, slammed the door in his face. Maya was on the floor, wrists bound, blood streaking her cheek. "They're not who they say they are," I told her, grabbing her arm. "Stay down." The tall one spat blood, glared at me. "You just made a big mistake." I looked at him, breathing hard. "I already did. I let you in." Then I heard the click, a weapon being drawn. He pulled a stun gun, aimed it at my chest. I slammed the door to the garage and bolted it, the echo of his fist hammering the wood. There it was, my old green gun safe. Swore I'd never open it again. Maya begged Ethan, "Please don't." But the promise I made her about peace shattered right there on the concrete floor. I opened the safe anyway, the numbers coming easy, muscle memory. M16A4, standard issue, 12 years habit. The weight of it in my hands made everything sharp and clear. I looked at Maya, shaking wrists, red, scared, but alive. "I made you a promise," I said. "No more fighting." She nodded, tears shining. "Yes, you did." I looked at the rifle, then at her. "But I also promised I'd never let anyone hurt you." I slung the strap over my shoulder, checked the magazine safety off. Outside, the pounding on the door had stopped. That was worse than noise. Silence means planning. I opened the door. The air was cold, sharp, the smell of cut grass and gasoline hanging in the morning. The three men were by the SUV, one on the radio. I stepped outside, rifle in hand. The tall one smirked, homeowner's armed now. I didn't shout. "Step away from my wife." The bald one tried to look tough. "Easy, soldier boy. You point that at me, that's a felony." I kept walking, calm as a judge. Last chance, leave now and regret it in court instead of a morgue. The tall one pulled the stun gun, aiming at me. I squeezed the trigger once, crack, shot the weapon out of his hand, sparks flying. "That was your warning," I said. "Next time I don't miss on purpose." For a moment, nobody moved. Across the street, a curtain fluttered. Someone was watching. The tall one finally found his voice. "You just shot at an officer." I shook my head. "No, I shot at a criminal, pretending to be one." I advanced. "Down. Hands behind your head." The bald one hesitated, but I smiled just enough to make him wonder. He knelt. The tall one started to reach for his vest pocket. "Don't." My voice was flat, no room for argument. He froze, sweat on his neck. "You know what the difference is between me and you?" I asked. He didn't answer. "I don't need to prove I have power. I just use it when I have to." Behind me, the driver reached for the car door. I fired, shattered the rearview mirror glass everywhere. Out of the car, I ordered. Now all three were on their knees, gravel crunching. Maya's voice floated from the porch, weak but steady. "Ethan." I looked back. She was alive. That's all that mattered. But it wasn't over. The air felt charged, like something bigger was about to land. Boots crunched on gravel behind me. A fourth man stepped out of the shadows, black jacket, trimmed beard, calm eyes. He didn't flinch when I leveled the rifle at him. "Relax, Chief. Nobody wants more blood today." He knew my name, my record, even the boat in my garage. They'd been watching us for weeks. "What do you want?" I demanded. He shrugged. "Compliance. Some folks pay dues on time. Others need a demonstration." He called it field testing, watching how people react to fear, chaos, control. They were live streaming it, investors bidding on our lives, watching for obedience. I told him, "You hurt my wife for data." He smiled like a teacher correcting a stubborn kid. "Collateral emotion. You've studied human behavior under stress. You get it." I told him to get on the ground. He asked if I'd shoot. You've got every right. She's bleeding in there, and I'm the man behind it. The soldier in me wanted to end it right there. The man who built a boat just wanted it to stop. I told him I don't kill unarmed men. That's what makes me human. He pulled out a phone, tapped it. Red light blinked in the SUV camera, rotating, catching both of us. Smile, Chief. You're on camera. He was streaming at auction usernames, bids, messages from people paying in Bitcoin to watch us fight for our lives. The next address popped up on the screen, Mrs. Eleanor Greer, 3 houses down. Sweet old woman who bakes cookies for the neighborhood kids. I stared at the map, the dots spreading, and my stomach dropped. Who picks the targets, I asked. HOAs send names people who cause problems. We test how far fear travels down the street. They tried to erase everything running for the car, trying to wipe the stream, even as smoke and sirens filled the air. I made an improvised Molotov, hurled it under the SUV, and ended the feed in a burst of fire and black smoke. The police arrived, guns drawn, shouts, confusion. Pierce, the 4th man, pointed at me, called me the shooter. They cuffed me anyway, standard procedure. But when the sergeant saw Maya's wrists when they pulled the data off the SUV, the truth came out. Dark web streams, crypto payments, HOA records, proof of every lie. The jury needed less than an hour. Guilty on all counts. Assault impersonating an officer, attempted kidnapping conspiracy. Reporters camped outside for days. Neighbors brought casseroles. Maya healed slowly but stronger than ever. I never felt like a hero. Heroes wait, heroes hope. I just did what needed to be done. Months later, Detective Avery showed us the network, hundreds of dots on a map, each one a target, each one a home. Fake HOAs, private security fronts, auctions for obedience. They called it Operation Broken Covenant. My live stream became the foundation of the case raids in 6 states, dozens of arrests, families freed. But I knew it wasn't over. Not really. One morning, I finished the boat. Every stroke of varnish was a memory faced, not erased. On the bow, I carved 2 words. Stay ready. We launched it just after dawn. The lake was glass. Maya laughed when the water touched her boots. We drifted in silence, not heavy anymore, just full. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't heard the car that morning, she asked. I nodded. Every day. But we made it through. Now every night, porch lights blink in quiet code up and down Maplewood. People wave again. The world feels honest, scarred, but whole. And I know if fear ever comes knocking, it won't find us unprepared. It'll find someone ready to stand. So what do you think? When does a man stop being a victim and start being a defender? Would you stand your ground or wait for help that might never come? Drop your thoughts down below, share your own story. And hey, keep your porch lights on tonight, just in case.